Hello and welcome to Ecoholics. A very good evening to all of you. So today's topic is a very different topic. We'll discuss the Make in India, and in particular we'll not discuss Make in India program or the mission. We'll discuss how we can convert this Make in India to actually find in India. Now this is the important topic in order to understand that not just Make in India, but we need to find the potential that is available in India. So first of all, before making, we need to find the resources. Here in this lecture, we will talk about the natural resource allocation and how we can avail the benefits of these natural resources, especially on and around the national mineral policy. So you may find this lecture very useful for the opinion based questions in the examination. At the end of the lecture, you can frame your opinion, your own opinion as well. So here the main motive is to understand the concepts, especially regarding the natural resources and the mineral allocation in India. And what we'll discuss is that the government must open certain key sectors like the mining, oil, gas for foreign direct investment. This is how it will connect with Make in India to actually give aid to the GDP growth of the country. So the main aim is, in order to increase the GDP growth rate, how we can use the foreign direct investment, especially in mineral, oil and gas sectors like mining, etc. So Make in India will improve, but for that we need to find natural resources in India. That's why it is Find in India. So let's begin with this. Now if you are aware about the India's economic GDP growth rate, so if you see that GDP growth rate in January-March quarter of last year, that is 2018-19, India registered the GDP growth rate at 5%. Then from April to June 2019-20 financial year, India registered 5% GDP growth rate. And still for the next quarter, data is yet to come. The main motive here is that India is experiencing the decline in the growth rate. So the decline in the growth rate, here we have the time and here we have the GDP growth rate, and it is suppose 6% here, then it is 5%. So it is dipping, and we are expecting that India soon to recover fast from this. India will recover obviously for sure, but what will be the path of the recovery? Like it will be a slow recovery like in the example number 3, like little bit faster, or the more steep growth that India will achieve. Now this government got the mandate, that is Indian National Democratic Alliance. In the 2019 Lok Sabha polls, they got the mandate, a strong mandate, and in comparison 2014, this time more majority goes to the National Democratic Alliance. It means people are believing in this. Still, we are finding that India's GDP growth rate has been declining. Although apart from this, there is a problem of the joblessness. Now, joblessness, that is the unemployment rate, stood around 6.1% in the January-March quarter, and it was the highest in the last 45 years. So the unemployment is also highest if you see, especially in the 2017-18. Now you know that clearly we have signs of dipping the GDP growth rate, as well as we are unable to create sufficient amount of jobs. The main issue here that India needs to encash the demographic dividend. So demographic dividend we need to reap, because if we will not reap this, it will become a demographic burden. Now this is the biggest challenge in front of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government. Now you see that in the next 5 years, that is from 2019 to 2024, where the next tenure of NDA-2 government has actually allotted. So what is the main challenge is to reap the benefits of this demographic dividend. Although the task is very difficult and the task is Herculean, but people voted this government in the confidence. So that's why, because they can undertake bold reforms that are required for the current situation in the country, and we need to kickstart the economy once again in order to get the advantages of low inflation as well as slow interest rates. So now the low interest rate are also important, where we are slowing down the interest rate by gradually declining by the Reserve Bank of India's monetary policy. So here the benefits are low interest rate. The benefits are, we can say, the low inflation. Low interest rate means the low borrowing cost, so the investment will go up. So these are the few benefits that we have. Next is the taxes reduced by the government, so that is also a very good sign. Now the combination of the reform that this government announced since 2014 to, we can say, 2019 for the NDA first term, like reforms in agriculture sector, reforms in the labor, reforms in the land, these are actually coupled with certain environment of high amount of investment. So although that has been supported by the easy amount of tax laws as well as the stringent amount of decline in the tax officials' interaction with the business. So faceless, this is the motive of the government, to make the tax department faceless. Now coming on to the topic again, if we want to reignite the economy, it means that economy should be on track. If we want to reignite the economy, the important thing that we need to introduce the mining revolution on the same lines of the green revolution and the white revolution. So green revolution for agriculture crop, white revolution for milk. On the same lines, we need to kickstart this mining revolution because India is having rich and diverse ecology. Apart from this, we should open the sectors like the mining, the oil and gas sector, especially for the FDI inflows. These inflows will get very beneficial for India because FDI inflow will give India certain amount of dollars, so that is our foreign exchange reserve will go up. This will create the employment in the country as well, so that will support the millions of jobs. And the next thing, that will cut down the imports. So imports will go down if we do these kind of policies, especially we can say in the for the ancillary industry. Now here, as I said earlier in the title, that Make in India should come with Find in India. So here the title suggested Find in India means we need to find top mining companies of the world with their state of the art technology. So state of the art technology means the highest, utmost quality of technology that start mining and the wide range of metal minerals like coal, iron ore, bauxite, gold in India, especially on this sustainable basis or the long-term basis. So for that, we need to attract these firms with the utmost care of the environment as well. Now here, wealth of India's untapped resources still, like for example, India has to import the coal. Although India is the fourth largest coal reserves in the world, but still we need to import coal just because we don't have the technology to extract that particular coal located in that. Apart from this, there are other reasons about the quality of the coal as well, but still India is having the fifth largest reserves of coal throughout the world, and still we have to import the coal. Now if we see that if we do attract this FDI inflows, especially in the mining, oil, gas and these kind of things, India will receive, or if India is able to produce half of the oil gold that we import actually, then India will enjoy the current account surplus. So on the current account, India will enjoy the surplus if half of the oil and the gold which we import, then we are able to create domestically. That is what we call the import substitution. For that, government introduced certain policies. The number one is the OALP1, that is Open Acreage Licensing Policy. So open means for all, acreage means particular land. This is a licensing for the license of the mining, and this is policy. So OALP, where 41, so the 41 hydrocarbon blocks actually allocated in OALP1, and another in OALP2, government announced 30 more hydrocarbon blocks that we will give, especially in OALP2 and 3. So that will increase the capability of India to produce more amount of resources. Now here currently India is producing 2 lakh barrels of oil per day. So that is India's contribution towards the oil sector producing in India, and this barrel means around 159 liters is equals to 1 barrel. So India is producing 2 lakh barrels of oil per day, and what India's aspiration is, India needs to double it by 2021. So in the next 2 years, India is aspiring to double this, and eventually they will take this towards the 10 lakh liters. It means 10 lakh barrel or 1 million barrel per day. This is India's target, and that will strengthen India's position, especially into the global trade, and that will protect the domestic industry as well, especially from the dumping like situation that are actually unfavorable for the new investment. If you see the national mineral policy, of 2019, that is approved by cabinet in March 2019, another important thing that they aim to increase the production of major minerals by 200% in the next 7 years. It means by the year 2026 the target is this. So target is achievable obviously, but we need to keep the policy very simple, and the most important thing is transparent, because investors always like transparent policies, no sudden changes, and no problem in the approvals. Further, we can say policy should be based on the production and not on the basis of revenue, because whenever government asks for some share of revenue, what these companies are doing, they are escalating their cost in order to reduce their revenue. So that's why this policy must be focused on the amount of production. It means that it must be based on the output, not the revenue. If you see India's natural resources, where we can say this natural resources sector share in GDP is just 2%, and that can go up to 10%. This is India's potential. So we need to find this policy, and if we implement the national mineral policy of 2019 very we can say efficiently, then India can give these natural resources a chance to get 10% share in the India's GDP. Now what are the things that is important to do here? The number one thing is, first of all, we need to give public sector undertaking certain kind of independence. So independence to public sector undertaking regarding their decision making, what we call the autonomy. The another thing is regarding the production and the revenue, that will create huge amount of employment. So that is one of the best potential that this sector is having, that is natural resources sector. Now we actually need not to privatize them, because if we are privatizing, it means government is losing out certain amount of dividend. So what, like ONGC is the best example of public sector undertaking which is doing well. So the third one is the no privatization of successful PSUs. So no privatization of the successful public sector undertakings. So here, because the lack of independence of these public sector undertakings actually lacking their ability to think, because if you give the autonomy, their ability to think in this direction will go up. Today we can say that they will take a strong decision and they will stand on their feet. Today India is running a multi-billion dollar, we can say, corporation across the world. But in India, still there is a question. All the Indians are actually running successful companies all over the world, but here, talking about India, no one wants to work in India. Everyone wants certain policy relaxation. So if India will give these kind of relaxation, especially in the natural resources, where we provide decentralization of the decision making, especially in the public sector undertaking, and governments has no business to be in the business. What does it mean? It means there is no business of the government that government should involve in the business. So government should give all these opportunities of taking these kind of natural resources to the private sector and take dividend, take revenue from that. If they want, take output prediction, etc. So that will be very, very helpful. Apart from this, if you see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is actually doing certain things that will decentralize the grassroots level, especially at the district magistrate. So district collectors, the bureaucracy must empower to give quick decisions, because these quick decisions will help to increase the efficiency. If you do not take any quick decision, opportunity will go, and that opportunity will not come in the future. That is the scenario. So what is the important thing? That in the vital areas like the environmental clearances, the land clearances, that must be expedited by the lower level bureaucracy. Lower level means the grassroots level. So the district collectors that are empowered. So here these are the important suggestions for the government to implement the national mineral policy of 2019, because in India, if you see, in 2019 election, we gave the Indian population gave hope and faith in the government, and the vision and mission of the government is quite clear. So here we can say all the population is confident about the nation's growth and prosperity. It's just for a time being that India has registered around 5% GDP growth rate, but here we can say India will emerge as the economic and spiritual hub, especially in the next decade of 2021 to 2030. So that is the decade that India should become a global leader, and for that the policies must be very transparent. So here India is having a land of 1.3 billion people, where we have endless possibilities, opportunities. So we see that India should find their natural resources and the opportunities, and they will find in India, make in India, and ultimately they will sell both in India as well as globally. So that's the end of this lecture. If you have any doubt, most welcome with your doubts. And first of all, I would like to thank you that you have participated in the poll related to the live session, what I have asked. So you have contributed with your valuable comments about the live session. So if you have any suggestion, you can again go to the community tab and you can give your comments on that particular question. So that's it for today, and yeah, thank you so much for your support in the comment section. If you're finding it any difficulty in the current affairs related to economics, you can always ask. So So again, this is a live session that we conduct on a daily basis. So 10:30 p.m. daily from Monday to Saturday. So Monday to Saturday we conduct, and tomorrow is Sunday, so we are not meeting tomorrow. We'll meet on Monday regarding the current events in economics. So current economic discussion and analysis, vital for the examinations like UPSC, where you have to write the answers. So in the IAS examination you have preliminary as well as mains, and in Indian Economic Service examination you have the we can say the general economics paper as well as the Indian economic paper, that is paper number 4 economics. So these kind of discussions are helpful for RBI second phase that is due in December. So you will find it useful, these kind of discussion, in order to write the answers. Apart from this, in the banking examination, especially for a specialist officer like economist and the probationary officer, you'll find two good points here in this discussion to write the essay. So that's it for, and thank you for subscribing Ecoholics, and thank you for tuning in today. And do follow us on social media so you'll get the daily questions updates regarding this, and click on the bell icon so you'll get the notification about the live session. So once again, thank you so much and good night.